Welcome, everyone. It's Mad, and today we're going to talk about Gigantamax Inteleon, last of the three starters. We're going to be going over for June 14th and 15th, and honestly, it's going to be probably the best attacker that we're going to have, at least until Zacian, definitely for sure, but overall, until we know the exact numbers, Inteleon still might be a little stronger because of Gmax. Let's go. All right, for the Inteleon event, we're going to be able to get as many Inteleons from Saturday, June 14th from 6 a.m., sorry, until Sunday, June 15th at 9 p.m. your local time. This time, we will have bonuses active from Saturday, June 14th at 10 a.m. to Wednesday, June 18th at 8 p.m. And I'm not a huge fan of this, as we won't have the max particle collection limit theoretically increase until 10 a.m., but hopefully they'll turn it on at 6 a.m. so that we don't have any issues with that on Saturday. But we will have Incense will attract certain Pokemon more frequently, 2 times catch XP, increased chance to encounter shiny Gothita and shiny Phantom. I need more of those shiny Phantoms. I love those. And trainers with the Phantom Ruins ticket will also receive 2 times catch Stardust. Those are one of the few rewards for tickets that I really enjoy, and I'll be getting a ticket just for the 2 times catch Stardust. But for Gmax, what's interesting for us is we'll get max particle collection limit increased to 1600 with 8 times max particles from power spots. And just like always, this will last though until Wednesday evening. So I want to stress this very importantly. After Sunday, if you are still trying to get your Gmax or Dmax attack guard and spirit up, these are prime times. Yes, you could theoretically get 2,200 if you do a max particle collection, then you do two 2 kilometer walks and then another one. But honestly, I usually shoot for about 1,900 overall for that. And that is for one Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. You can get pretty easily 5,700. You can also add a little bit more because of that 20, but you get a lot of max particles. That's a great way to increase the power of all of your Dynamax and Gigantamax that you need to if you have the candies for it. And if not, that still gives you a lot of times to farm whatever max battles that you can get for the candies that you are looking for. So these are really powerful, and try not to waste them, as I've been able to get my Hundo Gmax ready for Inteleon already, and without having to sacrifice any other Gmax battles during the weekend. All right, for Gigantamax Inteleon, who is sniping from his snake-like tower, its CP is 1614 through 1693. The hundo that you're looking for is 1693. It is weak to only electric and grass. It takes 60% additional damage, and with that, we have a pretty limited amount of really to choose from that will do a great deal of damage. But if you do have them, including Rillaboom, you're going to really make this fight easier. It is strong to fire, ice, steel, and water, which is actually a pretty large range of pretty important Pokemon that we have. And its stats very heavily weighted towards attack with fairly low defense and stamina. Inteleon is going to be our strongest Gmax. Cinderace is actually our second, and Gengar's our third. So overall, this is going to be definitely a tech Pokemon that we're going to be used. But the only main issue is, unlike Gengar, it doesn't have any of the 60.9% or 75% resistances, so it's not really going to be used as a tank. It's just going to be used as you switch to Inteleon for attack. For its fast attacks, they're both 0.5 seconds. So basically, if you're going to be using Inteleon, you're probably going to be just putting Water Gun in, period. But the main issue is the only time you're really going to be using Gmax Inteleons when the battle's relatively light, so it's not super useful for focusing on fast attacks. And for the battle, it only has 3 charged moves, and they're all fairly fast. Shadow Ball is the ghost type move, which is you're going to see some tanks or sponges that I normally don't recommend, but they are actually going to be perfect for this battle. It does hit fairly hard, and it's 3 seconds, so it's fairly fast. I'm gonna sacrifice some damage for some of the tanks that generally go out there for my suggestions, because I am only focusing on 0.5 second moves for this battle due to the speed of Inteleon's charged moves. So generally, I say, look, 0.5 seconds to 1 seconds are fine. I really, really highly suggest that you try to get as many 0.5 seconds as you can. But even if you don't have it, it has to be 1 second. You can't have any more. Otherwise, you're going to have a real hard time overall. Water Pulse is actually going to be our preferred attack. And personally, I'd rather see Water Pulse than Shadow Ball. Water Pulse is 65 attack with the 3 seconds as well. So it's going to hit as often as Shadow Ball, but without as much punishment. And Surf is almost as powerful as Water Pulse, but it's at 1.5 seconds. This is the same speed as the Machop Submission, which was attacking fairly fast. And Surf is by far the most dangerous move, not because of its power, but because of its speed. And for that, that's what we're going to worry most about is right now Surf. All right, so for damage capability for water, right now Inteleon has not just sniped the damage title for water, but has sniped the overall damage title. And with that, it's just because of that, it's a very, very going to be useful Pokemon because of how powerful it is for its attack. Kingler was in the running as well for highest damage. Now it has been outclassed by 16% at level 20 and almost 22% at level 50, which is a huge increase overall. And water now has some really powerful damage dealers in general, but right now Gmax Inteleon is really out damaging everything that we can see. Now, for the best tanks to go against Inteleon, I have some very odd elements for some of these Pokemon, but they're all designed to be attacking with 0.5 seconds. Even with me knowing what Rillaboom's damage is, and I have adjusted these damage tables to be based off of Rillaboom's damage, and then, multiplying it up by the difference between an attack versus for Inteleon over Rillaboom. And in general, the damage output here doesn't seem incredibly high, but Surf especially is going to attack very often. Even with the 0.5 seconds, Surf can attack 2 to 3 times before you can hit transformation. And that's with all 4 trainers on the team using 0.5 seconds and spamming those fast attacks as quickly as possible. So I don't expect these to be very long, because Inteleon itself has a lower defense and HP especially compared to Rillaboom. It's going to be more akin to Cinderace, but even Cinderace has more HP and defense than Inteleon. So each of these battles, you'll get a little bit more damage and a little less HP and defense. And I do worry that I'm a little underreporting the damage, but I don't expect it to be a great deal more. Once again, I'm still trying to get the exact overall formula. And I think I got to treat 5-star battles and 6-star battles on completely different damage curves. As Inteleon's a glass cannon, we're going to go powerful attacks. And for when it uses Shadow Ball, Blissey is my champion. And yes, I am actually going to have Blissey on my team, but it's only going to be before the first transformation. And if I see Shadow Ball, I will then move it back to Blissey to try to take the damage. I'm not a fan of using Blissey for the most part because Blissey just doesn't add a great deal of damage. So let's just compare Blissey and Rillaboom. They're going to be using basically the same overall attack, scratch versus pound. It's going to be 6 damage with 4 energy over zero point 0.5 seconds versus 6, 5, and zero point 0.5. The energy really doesn't make a difference that I can tell. And I'm going to be honest, I'm not sure unless if we can get into the real death dive of the overall, all the formulas that Pokemon Go is using for these. I don't think they at all make a difference because I think there is an absolute, each attack must equal an X amount, and zero point 0.5 seconds definitely falls within that absolute amount. So with that, what we're going to see is that yes, Blissey actually is normal, so it gets a 20% boost over Rillaboom. Even with that, Rillaboom still does around 60% to 65% more damage every hit compared to Blissey. And that adds up a great deal over time. So you are basically adding, if you have 4 Blissies versus 4 Rillabooms, you're basically adding 3 more Blissies to the attack with the Rillabooms. And that's why I know I get a lot of trainers, well, Blissey works well here, and Blissey works well here. Yes, but in general, if we can get, it's not as much damage, worry there, but there is still damage concerns. We still get about 10% of our damage overall here, and Blissey just has no attack. And the difference between Blissey and Venusaur's act is around 140% more damage, if not 180% more damage. So it's almost like having 12 Blissey or 11 Blissies versus 4. And that's the difference we're seeing here, and that's why I, usually try to shy away from Blissey. But Blissey is by far the best for Shadow Ball and can be used before the first transition. I will be okay with giving up a little bit of damage to then make sure the rest of the team will survive. But afterwards, personally, I don't want to really be using Blissey. Instead, I'll probably be putting in my Venusaur and Rillaboom. They take, relatively low damage. And Rillaboom at level 50 can take almost as many hits as Blissey can for Surf and Water Pulse without shields. And you're going to want to be using your Max Guard or shields, because what that does is that increases a chance for a single attack. And those single attacks really help out the rest of the team to just focus on attacks overall. It's really hard to give a true mathematical percentage of increase without having all of the mechanics completely worked out with all of the damage calculations, which I know there is an awful lot going on in the Pokemon Go for that. But I can definitely tell you that there is a huge difference for if you can have 3 of your trainers focus more on attack and have like a Venusaur or a Rillaboom, and even with the one Rillaboom taking some shields, you still get all that damage when it does its main attack. So for me, I'm going to have Venusaur because it has a 0.5 second attack for the Vine Whip as my main tank because it will do the most damage. And then I will switch it out with Rillaboom when I know that I've got enough shields for the Venusaur that I'm okay. The Venusaur and Rillaboom max damage isn't a great deal different. And when you add them together, as your tank, if you've got to stick with Vine Whip and Venusaur and then shield twice and then attack once, you're still going to do a little bit more damage overall than Rillaboom. Just because I had to give up Rillaboom's grass attack because I wanted to put Scratch in a 0.5 second attack if you're going to be using Rillaboom as your tank. The difference between those two is small, but Venusaur will give you a little bit better overall during the non-transformation or like the main phase. And when you transform, if your Venusaur has enough shield, you can switch over to Rillaboom to really dish out the damage. Now, this trick only works for Rillaboom if you're using Gmax Rillaboom. If you've only got a Dmax Rillaboom, then you're going to have to use the 1 second grass move, as that's going to be your main attacker anyways, and you're going to have to give up that little bit of boost overall. Kingler is another choice that you can have that I'm using Mudshot, but the problem is that's only a tank. Otherwise, you're going to have to switch to another Pokemon during the transformation phase because Mudshot is to 0.5 seconds and requires Elite TM. Don't use unless if you absolutely need to. Lapras, it is strong against ice, and its only 0.5 second move is actually Psywave. So for Gmax Lapras, you're going to want to use that, but you can't use it for its transformation attacks. So you're only going to be able to shield or heal, but as a Lapras, it will heal better, and it does more damage than Blissey does in Pound, but not by much. Blastoise, if you have I put the Gmax here, but really you want to put a Blastoise in that's Dmax. The Dmax Blastoise with a Dark Bite skill will actually do okay damage, but nowhere near the top damaging in general. And that has a 0.5 second move as well. And unfortunately, two of the better damaging tanks, one is Rapid Urshifu, and the other one is Suicune. They both only have 1 second maneuvers. That is definitely a very big negative for them. Suicune, though, will be your best tank in general, but for Surf and Water Pulse. But honestly, the difference between that and Rillaboom and Venusaur are relatively small enough where it's just much better to go with the extra damage during the normal attack than with Suicune. And finally, with Rapid Urshifu, it's kind of just stuck in the middle. If it had a nice 0.5 second move, it would actually definitely potentially work. But with the difficulty of upgrading the Urshifus to begin with, and with the lack of usefulness, I will highly suggest not to. But I try to grab the 8 best tanks or damage sponges that I could in general for everyone else to see. There are some others that you may be able to use, but these are basically the best options out there. And right now, really, if you're looking for anything optimal, there's really only 4 to focus on. Venusaur, Rillaboom are definitely by far the best 2, followed by a Dmax Blastoise and a Blissey. And in general, this is one of those where you don't have a great deal of choices for good damage sponges and get some damage done along the way. So for the best attackers for the Inteleon, we have two of the previous tanks and 2 of the best electric. Rillaboom and Venusaur are very good at Gmax attacking and tanks for this battle, and these are going to be top notch. If you have a Dmax Rillaboom, please use its grass move at 1 second, as you will not get the damage that is put here for the Rillaboom. Actually, if the Rillaboom's not there, it is going to be in between Toxtricity and Raikou. The list is dominated by Gmax, but there's not a great deal of Dmax for grass or electric to choose from. The best Dmaxes to choose from would be Zapdos, Rillaboom, and Toxtricity, and Raikou. Raikou and Zapdos, though, are much more difficult fights. So I expect most communities that don't have Gmaxes probably don't have a great deal of those either. And so you're really going to be going with Toxtricity and Rillaboom and Venusaur as well. Just make sure that they are using their same element that you're looking for, grass or electric, with really only Rillaboom needing to have that. Gmax Gengar is the highest non-optimal, and honestly, it's about to be replaced by Inteleon for now, and then Zacian will kind of go there as well. But you can also use Gmax Gengar if you have a Gmax Gengar. It is one of the few Gmax regular that's stronger than Venusaur is by itself. All right, Gmax Inteleon. Is it worth it? The attacker is on for both overall and water. Number 1. There's really not much else to say for that. As a tank and healer, as a tank, it's just poor all the way around. As a healer for water, it's really poor, but it's on the lower end of okay. for most normal Pokemon, as water types generally have pretty high HP in general. All right, let's go with the Mega Units for Candy for Inteleon. Something that I'm going to need to work on, as I do know that I will have enough to at least get my Inteleon to max attack, but I do want my Inteleon level 50. I do not have enough XLs for Inteleon right now. So we have Blastoise, Slowbo, Gyarados, Swampert, Kyogre, and at some point later, Sharpedo. Try to have your level 2 or level 3 upgraded for when you do fight Inteleon with your Mega, as that will really help you with the XLs, which is what is usually the piece that most people are short on. So what's the overall battle plan for Inteleon? My team's going to be Blissey, Gmax Rillaboom, and Venusaur. Blissey is going to be my initial pre-transformation sponge, and if I see Shadow Ball, we'll take the Shadow Ball damage. With Rillaboom, I did not see it use its fighting skill ever. I don't know if that's luck or whatnot, but I also didn't get through a great deal of battles. I only got through 8 or 9, or if it actually, I think there was one battle where it used its fighting, but it seemed like it was only using its 2 main skills for the most part. So I expect only Blissey to take the initial damage. Venusaur is going to be my main tank. I originally had Rillaboom, and then I decided to do some calculations, and I found it more optimal for my Venusaur to be the main tank and to be the backup damage dealer. So my plan is going to be start off with Blissey with the pre-transformation sponge, switch to Venusaur, put 3 shields up for the first transformation. Then after the first transformation, we're going to attack with Venusaur, and I expect to have more than a shield. If I have more than a shield, then I'll switch to Rillaboom, do 3 full attacks, switch back to Venusaur, and continue until I need more shields until I run out of shields completely with Venusaur, put 3 shields back up, and Rillaboom will just be my main damage dealer at that point. If you're not a tank and you have a tank in the group, you're going to really just need Blissey and Rillaboom. You can have Venusaur as a sponge as well, and you're just going to really switch between Blissey, Venusaur for your sponges, and Rillaboom will be your main damage dealer in general. I expect for a lot of groups that as long as you can take the quick amount of damage, and I do know with the remote rates that we've been seeing that you might have a lot of 40 trainer lobbies, but a lot of them will go away pretty quickly. This one is, as long as you could take the damage, should be more for 4 trainers with maybe 1 or 2 max mushrooms, or 8 trainers without mushrooms be able to take it okay. But generally, you're going to want more people to help with the cheering. And I will stress that if you are in a group and you do get knocked out, please cheer. It is a huge help. I will say that on most of my remote raids, when people were knocked out, they didn't even cheer, and that is really frustrating. Surf is going to be used probably every battle. I really saw, as I say, with Rillaboom, it was only going to be its grass attacks, so I expect Inteleon to be using most of its water attacks. I am hoping that when I fight that I see Surf as a single attack instead of the area attack. If it's the area attack, it can start wiping out Pokemon at a fairly fast pace. And it's really important to use half-second attacks for this battle because of the 1.5 second in general. And don't use anything that's longer than 1 second if you need to. So is Inteleon worth it for you? It's going to be our highest attacker, and it's a significant increase in damage over Kingler and the water element. So overall, yes, it is absolutely the biggest glass cannon that we have. Gengar has resistances that allow it to tank. Inteleon's not going to be tanking anything. All you're going to be using with this is pure attack. If you're the DPS, or if you're the one that's doing the most damage, Inteleon's for you, and you're really only going to be using it for when you transform. But still, it is very much worthwhile because of such the incredible high attack that it has. With that, this has been one of my longest reviews overall. Like and subscribe, please, if you really like the channel. It really helps me out a great deal. Also, comment down below. Did you kind of like the longer discussion? You want it a little shorter? It's all good there. That I'm try to respond to as many people as I can. It will be delayed from this as I'll be in New York City. And so I will have a little bit less of for Pokemon Go. I'll have a little bit less time to respond, and I'm not going to be bringing a computer over. I'll just have my phone, so I won't be able to respond as much in detail as I usually do, at least until I get back. Also, if you're in New York City, during the Go Fest, we can try. I'll try to have a little bit of a line going on my community page here on YouTube, and if you'd like to join the community, you'll get some perks as well. That will be absolutely wonderful. But most importantly, enjoy, have a lot of fun, and I'll try and do better next time. Thank you, everyone. Bye.